Okay, so a pleasant good morning. I hope all is well with you today. I hope you're just fine and you're just okay. And I hope that in this time of crisis, you are doing well. I know that we all experience our crisis within a crisis and within a pandemic, of course, there has to be crises, all right? And so I just want to remind you that I am the author of this lovely memoir. It's beautiful. Isn't it beautiful? This is the front, this is the back. There are two covers. There's one on Amazon, and this is some persons has have this cover and some have the other cover. All right. So we are in a crisis, all right? Yes, COVID-19. Wow. I wonder how many of us saw that coming. I don't think anybody saw that coming. All right. However, I just want to give God thanks. I just want to praise Him for another day and for this time and season because crisis has a way of bringing out something out of us. It can either be the best of us or the worst of us. And so today I'm not here to delve into the part of my book which speaks about domestic violence. I'll deal with that another time. But today I mostly want to share the introductory part of my book with you and talk about it. And I want to read a little part of the introduction. So the introduction says, crisis is a critical event which happens to people, groups, or societies. We have heard about the Ebola crisis in Africa, the path of Hurricane Irma not so long ago, and its onslaught on society and people. Not to mention the number of earthquakes countless countries have experienced and survived. We cannot overemphasize the year of chikungunya, right, in Jamaica. That was a crisis until it was brought under control. Most recently, dengue had taken the lives of many children, more so in the St. Andrew communities in Jamaica. This in itself is a crisis to people and society. And let me break here and remind you that my book came out. It's not on the market 1 year as yet, but it came out last year. So then I break say that because of the old, examples of crisis that I use. Okay? Okay, so let me continue. So crisis is international, right? Right, it's international to societies and it's sometimes overlooked, right? Especially the effects of personal crisis. To most, personal crisis is real and they know it because they have experienced it. As people, we experience our own personal crisis. To survive a personal crisis or a group crisis takes strength, not just physical, but emotional, spiritual, and financial as well. I'm going to come back to especially the financial parts. Individuals and groups should indeed share their story of the crisis they endured and the look at me now testimony and how they experienced life after a crisis. Is there life after crisis? Yes, there is life after crisis. And this is not all of my introduction, but I just go in this little section of it. Right? So, within a crisis, we have our own personal crises. Okay? We experience our own personal struggles. Not just regular struggles, but struggles that are not normal to the point where it becomes a crisis. Now, as you realize, while I was reading, you realize how I talk about crisis. Now, I want to connect crisis to what is happening now in Jamaica and in the world because it's no longer an epidemic. It's not common to just one region or nation, but it is international. All right? So COVID-19 is international. Everyone or most persons in the world are experiencing some effects. All right? And I say some and not all. Because, like I said before, I was going to go back to the financial crisis. Because if you notice a section of my book I read and I said that some of us, that it takes emotional strength and financial strength. But if you don't have the finances, how do you overcome crisis? How do you deal with crisis? And by the way, crisis is not something you can get up today and just sleep out. And you wake up tomorrow and you're all well. No. It takes a time. It takes a lot of thinking. I know that many persons have lost their jobs. Many individuals are not able to feed their families, all right? Many are not able to be what they want to be and do what they usually would have done. I mean, look at it. We have hotels closed down, right? And so you look at the economical part of crisis. We have the different places, the sporting arenas, churches. It is up to recently that some churches are allowed to open back in some areas of the world. And while these churches are open back, they have to be careful to abide by using the mask and social distancing, along with, temperature checks and other means of not spreading the virus, right? No. One of my take is this. Most of us in life, we have experienced some amount of crisis. Because listen now. If you even have money in this time, the fact that you can't do as you'd want to do, maybe you're the type who would go to church and just make a bag of knives and probably you go to altar and fall down on the ground and somebody catch you and you know the motion. Or if you are the type who, when you're in the house of the Lord, you are on top of your voice. Hallelujah. And you are on top of your voice because you have to praise the Lord loud. You have those charismatic Christians, and it's not just charismatic, but some persons by nature. And of course, I believe in making a joyful noise unto the Lord. I believe in that. But you also have the other set of persons who are used to going to the dance hall and they boogie down and boogie up and, they do their thing. We know that we have that sort of thing. We have those who, there are something that they were used to doing, and suddenly, life has changed. So we're now trying to adjust ourselves to a new normal. And of course, that in itself is a crisis. But I want to say this, because I don't want to make this video too long. I want to say this, that within a crisis, one of the key things, you must come out okay. When I say come out okay, I don't mean you're going to come out of the crisis with a bag of money. I don't mean you're going to come out of the crisis with everything perfect about you. But in a crisis, you're taught to look within yourself. You're not even taught, you are forced, because you are sitting down in the house. Some are getting used to their gardens that they have not seen in months. Some are getting used to collaborating with their children because they left that task to the teachers and they left that task to the pastor or to their child's friend. And some are getting used to having grandma, seeing grandma more, hearing more about grandma life or past or history, grandfather too. And there are so many changes. Wives that have not seen their husbands a lot around the house are now able to have that connection with their houses, all right? And so our spouse, rather spouse, all right? One person to another person, one to one, one and one. Anyway, so yes, so things things have changed, and we may look at it as all bad. But say you lost your job, and or your business is no longer doing well. It is a time to retrospect and to say, listen, how could I do things differently going forward? And should there be another situation where I have to stay home because there's a crisis, how do I deal with this? Would I be prepared enough to deal with it? And I even look at the Jamaican education system, and the fact that some children are home and some don't have tablets, some don't have Wi-Fi, some don't have laptops or even a phone to do something on. And for some, the internet is a challenge because even where they are living, they're not able to just go online. They have to walk a little distance and then they connect, and maybe one strike come up on the phone or on the tablet. It is our reality. All right. Some persons are here in the world has been able to, deal with this. All right. I've been able to deal with it or to master the art of technology and connection and equality. All right. But we are not quite there yet in Jamaica and other places of the world are not quite there yet also. And so, in this time, it is a time to look into ourselves and say, how do I go forward differently? How do I make my life a little better differently? It is not easy to make your life different. I would never ever finish this video without talking about prayer, without talking about a life of prayer. And the fact that when you pray there, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. But there is something else about prayer. I believe that when you talk to God or when you go in prayer, I believe God talk back to you. And I believe that many of us, when He talk back to you, some of us tend to ignore, or we don't know if it's God talking, or God, were you the one saying that? Did you say that a while ago? Stuff like that. It happens to the best of us, all right? Or some of us, we are so in tuned to the world that we are not in tuned to hearing from the highest source. We're not in tuned to hearing from the Lord. We're not in tune to that. And so, whenever you go to God in prayer, you say, God, I'm dealing with this, Lord, and I'm having this challenge, or whatever way you pray. I pray differently, by the way. Yeah. I pray differently. I won't get into that today. But I pray differently from most people. All right? And basically, scripturally, it is backed, right? So when you talk to God, He talks back to you. And one of the things that you can do in this crisis is to ask the Lord for divine ideas, divine business ideas, the way forward. Lord, how do I go forward? What can I do? The person who created the light bulb, they didn't just get up and create the light bulb like that. They made a lot of mistakes. They did a lot of things. And until they got that part correct, all right? The person who created the aeroplane, the helicopter, they made a lot of mistakes. And there were a lot of things that they did that it's not quite the norm. But they didn't stop trying until they came up with something that is groundbreaking and that would make a difference to themselves as individuals, and that will make a difference to somebody in society. Why am I saying this? When you're in a crisis, it squeezes something out of you. And it's either going to squeeze the best out of you or the worst out of you. And I would prefer that you delve or you lean towards getting the best out of you. When you read my book, you'll see what changes or what difference crisis made in my or crises made in my life. It made such a difference that I am not the person who I was some time ago. I'm completely different. All right? And so I pray that as you go through your crisis, you retrospect, you think about your life, think about who you are now, think about what you're doing now, and think about how different you could be going forward after this crisis. What could you do differently? How would you proceed? And how would life take a turn for the best for you? There's always a little saying that says, little is much when God is in it. Our little is much. Some people say, yeah, yeah, Yahusha, Yahweh, yeah. So some say God. All right. So little is much when Yah is in it. All right. Little is much when Yahweh is in it. Little is much when God is in it. All right. And so the little that is much when God is in it, it can make a difference. Don't just think about, okay, then I want to get back to that. I just want life to get back to the way it was. Crises happen and they happen to make you better. They happen to make you better. The man who was blind, when Jesus Christ healed him, he said, it is not something that he did or his parents did. He said I allowed it to happen to him because I wanted my glory to be revealed. And that's what crisis does. A lot of us who have not known or remember to pray in a crisis, if you don't start praying again in a crisis, oh my God, I don't know. Because a crisis calls you to think about your life. It calls you to think about your destiny. It calls you to think about, how do I go forward? How can I make things better for my kids? How can I make it better for me? How can I make it better for those around me? How can I be a better person? Crisis does that to you. And I